Alright, like the title says, this is going to be a PWG 2009 recap of all the shows that took place from last year. Now that they're all out on DVD. I've been wanting to do this video for a long time, but yeah, like so many people have been saying, PWG in 2009 was a great year. You know, arguably, maybe even the promotion had a better year than ROH as far as match quality goes and show quality. It's very possible, and so I would just like to talk about each and every one of the shows that came out. These shows are pretty good. I mean, you could get them pretty cheaply at High Spots. They sell for $14.95 each. I mean, that maybe a little bit pricey, but ROHWrestling.com, you could probably get a good sale on most of these shows. So it shouldn't be that tough to get them, you know. So the first show was The Gentle Art of Making Enemies. This show was, I thought it was pretty good, actually. I think it was a little bit too short. It went about 95 minutes, so it was probably like the shortest show from any promotion all year from 2009. So, you know, some of the highlights from the show, you have Bryan Danielson and Scott Lost, which was a really, really good match, in my opinion. El Generico and Chuck Taylor started their feud. Probably one of the main feuds that PWG had in 2009. They don't really do a lot of storyline progression stuff, but that was one of them. Then you had the Young Bucks versus Davey Richards and Roderick Strong, which was a solid main event. Nothing amazing, though, like one of the weaker Young Bucks matches from PWG, but still pretty good. So, alright, this is when things start to pick up. Express Written Consent. You know, this was a pretty good show. You know, you're going to remember this for Paul London. Paul London made his independent wrestling return at this show. And they threw him in a tag match with the Young Bucks to take on the Dynasty of Scott Lost, Joey Ryan, and Carl Anderson, which was a phenomenal main event. Main event's really what you need to pick this up for. You also had Kenny Omega and El Generico in a 4-star match, in my opinion. That was a great undercard match. But this show is not great, but I just think it's really, really good. It's like an 8.25. So, next up we have PWG 99. A really, really stacked show. I think this is when the company started to gain attention with the 99 and the 100 shows. This was really good. You know, you had the Young Bucks versus Motor City Machine Guns. That's like a TNA Dream match, so it's an awesome match, so check that out. It's on this DVD. And then you have Kenny Omega and Davey Richards. I thought that was another awesome match between those two guys. Not as good as their Classic Contenders match, but it's pretty close. And then you had Tyler Black and El Generico was very solid. Chris Hero, Austin Aries, kind of disappointing, but told a pretty good story. So it's PWG 99. Next up we have PWG 100. Very, very fun show. This is more of a comedy show, actually. You know, you had Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega, arguably, easily probably the best singles comedy match of the year. It was really, really funny. Definitely worth checking out. And then you had some of the matches were disappointing on here, like Paul London and Joey Ryan, but then you had Chris Hero and Colt Cabana. It was pretty entertaining for the PWG title. That was okay. Sanjay Dutt and El Generico was pretty good. And Tyler Black and Davey Richards had a pretty solid match. And the Young Bucks faced the Cutler Brothers in you know, a great PWG opening match. So yeah, PWG 100, it's a really, really good show as well. Next up we had DDT4, which in my opinion is amazing. It's the second best PWG show of the year. You know, you have 8 tag teams in a tag team title, a tag team tournament for the PWG tag team titles, I believe. You know, you had the Young Bucks, you had Roderick Strong and Bryan Danielson were a tag team. You had the Motor City Machine Guns. You had the Cutlers. You had I forget who else was there. Yeah, just some other PWG tag teams I can't remember. Human Tornado and Scorpio Sky. So this is just really, really great stuff. You know, multiple matches that reached the 4-star level. It's a really, really great tag team title tournament. Really easy to sit through. It's great, great action. Next up we have Secret of Guerrilla Island. Yeah, I mean, probably the worst PWG show of 2009, but you know, it still had Kenny Omega and Roderick Strong, which is pretty solid. The thing that hurt this was Bryan Danielson had a staph infection, so he couldn't show up, and Jay Briscoe didn't want to leave his house because he felt someone might was stalking his wife. So some of the talent did not show up for this. But you know, it wasn't a bad show. You still had Davey Richards and Nick Jackson from the Young Bucks. They put on a solid match. And the main event was kind of underwhelming. You know, it was Necro and Joey Ryan, which is not really main event worthy. But that's Secret of Guerrilla Island. Yeah, it's the worst PWG show of the year. Next up, we have Threemendous 2. Now, some are actually calling this the best independent wrestling show of the year. 401 Mania the people there voted it the best. So yeah, I mean, it's a stacked show. You had Davey Richards and Roderick Strong, which was awesome. You had the Young Bucks versus two skinny black guys in a non-title tag team match, which is phenomenal for a non-title match. Chris Hero, Joey Ryan for the title was pretty awesome. And yeah, just really, really great stuff. Scott Wallace and Alex Shelley, very controversial, but I thought it was awesome though. So, all right, next up we have Speed of Sound, which is a very good show, another very good show. It's kind of overshadowed because it came out at the same time that Guerre Sounds Frontiers came out, which is the best show of the year, in my opinion. So, this is great. You know, you had Chris Hero and Roderick Strong for the PWG title, which was very solid. El Generico and Chuck Taylor was crazy. It was very unique, something different. It was a nice street fight. Young Bucks versus the Dynasty was pretty awesome. Bryan Danielson and Brian Kendrick, Spanky. Obviously, you know, this is Spanky's return to the independent scene on this show, but his performance was kind of underwhelming. So that was a little bit disappointing, but still a good show. Next up, we have this is the show of the year, Guerre Sans Frontiers. Everyone check it out. I think it's the second best wrestling show of 2009, right behind Glory of Honor. It might even be better than Glory of Honor. I'm not really sure. It's kind of a toss-up for me, to tell you the truth. But yeah, obviously you have Bryan Danielson in his last PWG match against Chris Hero, which was excellent, really excellent. You had Naruki Doi and Joey Ryan, which was very good. You had El Generico and Shingo, which was pretty awesome, like 4.5 stars for me. You had SEMA teaming up with the Motor City Machine Guns to take on Brian Kendrick and the Young Bucks, which is a very, very excellent 6-man tag match. I recommend everyone to get this DVD. By the time this DVD is over, you just feel so like fulfilled. You feel like you really got your money's worth. So there it is. That's the best PWG show of the year. Guerre Sans Frontiers. Next up we have Against the Grain. You know, after the great shows that they just put on, you know, they eventually slowed down, and that's what Against the Grain was. It was solid, but it just didn't live up to the other shows that had just taken place. I mean, the Young Bucks versus the Men in Low Moral Fiber was a pretty good main event. You know, they had a great match on the DDT show as well, but this was pretty good as well. You had El Generico and Chris Hero, which was pretty solid. Brian Kendrick, Roderick Strong. Yeah, a lot of solid matches here, but just nothing was, besides the main event, I don't think you could really call anything great. So next up we have Battle Los Angeles. You know, I've talked about this recently. You know, I did a review of Big Rat, and a lot of other reviews for the show as well. So this is night one. Like we've said, you know, night one is pretty much the warm-up show for the whole tournament. Nothing amazing on the show. So and then night two was pretty awesome. You know, you get a great performance the whole night from Kenny Omega, and then you have Roderick Strong and Kenny Omega in the finals, which was an excellent match in my opinion, considering the circumstances. And then you had the Young Bucks versus Steven Generico. Excellent tag match. Probably the best match from their whole series of matches from 2009. So yeah, that's PWG Battle Los Angeles Night 2, the final show of 2009. Hopefully I didn't run out of time, but try to check out some of these shows if you can. All right.